Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Jamie Dawn, your professional psychic advisor, success coach, evolutionary, revolutionary. And today happens to be Saturday, April 18th, 2020. And this video is for the upcoming week, which is when the sun moves into Taurus and we have a new moon in Taurus. And those are the two big highlights, if you will, of the week. I think it's going to be a really precious week. This last week was a little difficult for many reasons. I believe that there was a lot of frustration. We can see it in the news and around the world, especially in this country. People want to get back to work. They want life to kind of get moving again. And so this last week had a bit of restlessness to it, of course. And I believe that this coming week with the sun moving into warm and friendly and kind-hearted Taurus, and the moon being there, the moon's exalted when it's in Taurus, it should give us an opportunity to feel as though we're finally able to start building this new future. It's going to be slow and methodical and steady, just like Taurus enjoys it being. So let's not get too far ahead of the game, if you will. Jupiter has moved beyond Pluto, but it will retrograde in the summertime, where they will make another exact conjunction. And the reason I'm bringing that up is that we had that canoodling happening between Jupiter and Pluto 2 weeks ago on the 4th of April, it was exact. And that brought out a lot of this hidden power. There was also bringing up some of our fears and insecurities, if you will, that we had to face. And sometimes it could be amplified and expanded. And at the same time, we might have also been able to find great hope, because Jupiter is very optimistic and hopeful. And there was that push and pull because of, wow, there goes my alarm. Let's all just take one conscious breath. Yeah, I set an alarm, just so you guys know, a couple of times throughout the day that reminds me just to take a breath and imagine that there are hundreds, thousands of people around the world who are doing this with me. And what a gift to be able to offer that. So I'm welcoming the interruption, and I hope that you are too. The other thing that I just want to mention is that we had Mars canoodling with Saturn, and during that time that Jupiter and Pluto were also having their love affair. And so there was this feeling of hopefulness, and we were ready to see if we could, flatten this curve and get back, try and get our lives back to normal. But yet there was that restriction or fear of, oh my God, how much longer is this going to take? And so all that to say, this week has a little bit more hopefulness, a little bit more comfort and ease to it. Not saying that we're going to have big shifts, because it's a new moon. So new moons have a tendency to offer contemplation, or times to be quiet and to withdraw just a little bit. It doesn't mean we don't take action, but really it's time for us to gather around and inside of us what we need to feel the most comforted, because this is a Taurus moon and it wants to have comfort. It wants to have peace. It wants to have this warmth and compassion and love that, and if anybody knows anyone with heavy Taurus energy, they like nice things, comfortable things, even maybe a little bit of luxury involved. And also Taurus loves food. So we may find a lot of food things happening, people cooking or sharing food, or also in the bigger picture, we may find that there is a burst of food being offered, with maybe grocery stores or maybe restaurants can start to find that maybe they can not open up yet, but they can think a little differently about how they want to do things, because Uranus is going to be canoodling with the sun and moon. And so when that happens, we have to think differently. Anything can change. Uranus is so erratic. It's it's a planet that just suddenly goes, I have an idea. I'm going to have to go do this. And with it being in Taurus, though, that idea may take time to manifest. And we're also having to think differently about our resources, because that's the other thing. Taurus is really More about the resources and the self-worth and the values that we have in our lives that bring us great comfort. And so this week, we may also be playing with that question that regardless of the outcome, what can I do to still have peace with myself? Because Taurus needs to feel peaceful. It can create a lot of anxiety for us and a lot of anxiety in this collective force if we're sacrificing our values, if we're giving away those non-negotiables, right? And Taurus really needs to hold on. They're very stubborn. That energy of Taurus is very stubborn. It's very solid. It's very structured and practical in the way that it lives its life and the values that it holds. But it takes its time. And when it gets fixed on a particular issue or a particular desire, something that you want to possess, you don't really let it go, right? And so again, if you're familiar with a Taurus, or you're a Taurus, or you have heavy Taurus influence, you're going to find that you have a tendency to be fiercely protective and desiring of your stuff, your things. You know, there's that possessive part of it. And so we may be looking at, you know, gathering all these things to us because we have this, I'll call it a false sense of security, if we have all these things or people around us. So one of the lessons or the issues that we may bump up against this week is hoarding, or we may find that it's time to clutter clear. And with it being a new moon, it's a great time to start things like that. It's a great time to take an evaluation of what's in your closet, of what's in your home maybe, and it's time to start maybe separating and saying that can be donated, or that can be given away, or that needs to be sold, you know, or maybe put in the trash. So there is that energy this week as well that we're going to be looking at. What are we hoarding? I would offer that we use this new moon week also to look at maybe what are the things that we've been holding on to in our own hearts and our own mind and our own lives that may be holding us back from being more open-hearted, maybe holding us back from being more giving or being more open to receive. Taurus is a feminine energy. It has a receptive energy to it. The shadow side, the flip side, is that it can also be so receiving, and it likes to possess things, like I mentioned, that it may not want to let things go that are no longer serving. So we have to look at that too. This new moon may have us looking at, this is no longer serving. So I need to allow this to go. And maybe it takes a forgiveness practice. Maybe it's having that conversation. Maybe some of you will finally develop that right relationship, that you're like, you know, I've let the past go, and now I can turn my full attention to this new or this renewed relationship, because relationships are still up, especially because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in Gemini and will stay in Gemini until July. And so relationships are going to continue to work us. It's a big theme throughout this whole year. And so it may be that this week we get to say, you know, I'm ready to really step into this new relationship, or this renewed one, in a new way, in a way that allows me to be comforting, that allows me to feel the warmth. I want this warmth reciprocated. I can't force another person, but maybe, just maybe, if I can continue to invite that warmth, and I can be that loving, gentle, kind individual, then I can see it reflected on the outside world. Because remember that what is happening internally can be reflected externally, and vice versa. So continue playing with and practicing. How do we respond with this current energy field? How do we continue to navigate these uncertain waters still? But I believe that we're ready to start getting back to life. And that as we do that, this is a perfect week to sit quietly, carve out some special time for self-care, special time for contemplation, and to just sit quietly and figure out, What do I want to really build in my life next? What's that new structure? And this is a time to do it and do it well. All right, you guys, I hope that you have a fabulous week. Please let me know how it's going. You can catch me at jamiedawn.com, one to listen. And I'm really looking forward to just continuing to connect. And one other thing, if you're not following me on Instagram, I am on Instagram as jamiedawn33. And I'm posting now. I have these beautiful oracle cards that I picked up months ago at the Alchemist in Richmond, Virginia. And Jane was carrying Alana Fairchild's The Journey of Love oracle deck. And I have a couple of her other decks. You could probably, if you can see my altar back there, I have a Rumi deck and I have the light deck. And so anyways, but I love these Journey of Love cards. And so I'm pulling one every day after I sit in meditation just to see what the collective is asking for. And so I'm posting cards every day that has a message for us. So if it resonates with you, wonderful. And so check it out on Instagram, jamiedawn33. And I look forward to connecting with you guys. Have a great week, everybody.